The message arrived like a distant thunderclap, crackling through Earth's communication systems and shaking the quiet of the night. It was a transmission from the Galactic Empire, an advanced and powerful force spread across the stars, known for its technological supremacy and ruthless conquests. To the leaders of Earth, it seemed like a golden opportunity. The Empire promised peace, advanced technology, and access to resources beyond their wildest dreams. In return, they would form an alliance with Earth, a partnership that could change the fate of humanity forever. At first glance, it seemed like the Empire was offering salvation. But something didn't feel right. Alex, a skilled soldier and strategist in Earth's military, had been one of the first to analyze the message. As a seasoned officer, Alex was trained to look for hidden motives, to spot the signs of a trap before it could close. His instincts told him that something about this offer was too good to be true. He studied the transmission late into the night, running decryption algorithms, looking for hidden messages. Then something appeared. A small, nearly undetectable file hidden beneath layers of code, as if someone was trying to keep it out of sight. Alex opened it cautiously, heart racing. It was an encrypted message, one that hadn't been intended for Earth's government but for a select few. The message came from an unknown source, someone who had clearly hacked into the Empire's communication systems. It contained terrifying words. The Empire's true intentions are not peace, but domination. They plan to use Earth as a resource to fuel their endless wars, enslaving humanity in the process. Alex's hands shook as he read the chilling words. His worst fears had just been confirmed. The Empire was planning to invade Earth, not as an ally, but as a conqueror. They would take the resources of Earth and enslave its people, leaving nothing behind but a hollow shell of a planet. He felt a cold fury rise within him. The world was on the brink of catastrophe, and the leaders of Earth had no idea what was coming. They were preparing to sign the alliance with the Empire, unaware of the dangerous truth hidden beneath their shiny promises. Alex immediately went to work, compiling all the evidence he could find. He hacked into Earth's mainframes, pulling together every scrap of intelligence that could prove the Empire's betrayal. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became. Earth was on the verge of making the biggest mistake in its history. If the alliance went through, it would mean the end of humanity's freedom. He knew that time was running out. The Galactic Empire's flagship fleet was already on its way to Earth, preparing to make a formal approach. The fleet would arrive within a matter of days, and once the leaders of Earth signed the treaty, there would be no going back. The only thing that could stop it was the truth. With a sense of urgency, Alex gathered a small group of trusted allies. They needed to stop the Empire before it was too late. But Alex couldn't do it alone. He needed someone who knew the Empire's inner workings, someone who could help him understand what they were truly capable of. That's when he reached out to Zara, an alien rebel who had fought against the Empire for years. She had been a part of the resistance movements on her homeworld before it was destroyed by the Empire's overwhelming forces. Zara knew the Empire's cruelty better than anyone, and she had no love for them. The two of them had met before, in a brief but fateful encounter when Zara had sought refuge on Earth. They had become allies of circumstance, but now, with the fate of humanity at stake, Alex knew he could trust her with everything. Alex met Zara in the shadows of a hidden military base, away from prying eyes. When he told her what he had discovered, her expression hardened. She had suspected something like this for years, but hearing the truth confirmed was another matter entirely. "We can't let them get away with this," Zara said, her voice low and resolute. "The Empire has enslaved countless species across the galaxy. Earth is just another conquest to them, another world to consume." Alex nodded, his mind already racing with plans. He had always been good at strategy, but this was something entirely different. They were facing an enemy that had dominated the galaxy for centuries, and Earth was about to make the biggest mistake of its existence. The stakes were higher than anything he had ever imagined. Zara agreed to join him, and together they formed a small but determined resistance group. Alex knew they couldn't fight the Empire head-on. Not yet. They needed to gather support, find allies among the other galactic civilizations, and prepare Earth's defenses. But that wasn't all. They had to convince the leaders of Earth that the Empire was a threat, not a savior. The hard part would be making them believe it before it was too late. As Alex and Zara prepared their next moves, the reality of what they were about to do sank in. They weren't just up against a ruthless galactic empire. They were also fighting against their own people's trust in the Empire. The alliance was almost a done deal, and convincing humanity to turn against it would be a monumental task. Just as they were about to make their next move, the worst possible news arrived. The Empire's flagship fleet had arrived in Earth's orbit. Alex stared at the holographic display showing the fleet's approach. Massive warships, gleaming with the Empire's advanced technology, surrounded the Earth, like vultures waiting for the kill. The Empire's intentions were clear. They had come to collect what they had promised, and Earth's leaders would soon be expected to bow down to them. The tension in the room was unbearable. Alex knew they didn't have much time left. With the fleet in orbit, it was only a matter of hours before Earth's leaders would meet with the Empire's emissaries. If they didn't act fast, it would be too late. "Prepare yourself, Zora," Alex said, his voice hard with determination. "This is the beginning of the war for humanity's survival. We're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for every world the Empire has ever conquered. And we won't let them take ours." The resistance group began to make its moves. They activated cloaking devices on their ships, ready to strike from the shadows. But the fear and uncertainty still loomed large. Alex had seen the Empire's strength firsthand, and he knew the battle ahead would be nothing short of catastrophic. As the Empire's fleet loomed overhead, and the final decision rested with Earth's leaders, Alex and Zara stood ready to fight. They had one shot to expose the truth, one chance to prevent the disaster that was about to unfold. The only question now was, would humanity believe them before it was too late? Time was running out, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The galaxy was silent, but beneath that quiet exterior, tension was building, thick as smoke, ready to erupt. Earth's fragile peace was about to be shattered. Alex and Zara stood in the darkened room, their faces lit by the soft glow of the holographic map that floated in front of them. The Empire's fleet loomed overhead, but they had no time to waste. The clock was ticking. The resistance was small, just a handful of soldiers and scientists who had been recruited by Alex's careful hands. Each one had a role to play, from hacking into the Empire's communications to building weapons powerful enough to take down their ships. But more than that, they were united by one thing: the survival of Earth, and the desire to prevent the same fate that had befallen Zora's world. Zora paced beside Alex, her sharp gaze never leaving the holographic map. She was the first to act, her voice calm but filled with a deep fury. "They won't expect us to fight back," she said. "The Empire's arrogance blinds them, but we'll show them they're wrong." Alex nodded, determination solid in his chest. "We need to hit them where it hurts. If we don't strike fast, they'll crush us. We can't afford to give them time to prepare." They had a plan, but it was risky. Earth's military forces were outclassed, outgunned, and vastly outnumbered. But they had one advantage: technology. Over the last few weeks, they had managed to secure advanced eye-powered cloaking devices and powerful laser cannons, weapons that could give them the edge in this battle. The resistance had been working in secret, their movements hidden from both the Empire and Earth's own leaders, who still believed the Empire's lies. As Alex walked through the makeshift base, the air was heavy with quiet anticipation. Soldiers prepared weapons, scientists calibrated the cloaking devices, and engineers double-checked the AI systems that would control the stealth technology. Everyone was focused, aware that the upcoming battle would determine whether Earth would survive or become another conquered world. The bond between Alex and Zara had deepened over the past days. They had spent countless hours together, planning the Resistance's next moves. Zara had confided in him more than once about her past, about the devastation the Empire had brought to her homeworld, Ilunur. Her people had once been powerful, technologically advanced, but the Empire's endless conquests had wiped them out, leaving nothing but ruins and memories. Zara was determined to make the Empire pay for what they had done, not just to her world, but to countless others across the galaxy. "It's not just Earth I'm fighting for," Zara had said one night as they worked late into the hours. "The Empire's greed has taken everything from me. I won't let them do it again. Not to you, not to anyone." Alex had always known there was more to Zora's fight than just loyalty to Earth, but hearing the pain in her voice made his resolve stronger. This wasn't just a war for survival. It was a war for justice, for the countless worlds that had fallen to the Empire's tyranny. And if they were to win, it would have to be now. They couldn't afford to wait. The day of the attack arrived sooner than anyone expected. Alex and Zara's team prepared to leave the base in silence, cloaked ships ready to launch. The plan was simple. They would infiltrate the Empire's fleet undetected, using their cloaking technology to hide their movements. Once they were in position, they would strike with everything they had, sabotaging the Empire's flagship and creating chaos in the heart of their forces. They couldn't afford to waste time. If the resistance failed, Earth would fall. The first target was an Empire warship, massive and heavily armed. The team, aboard their small, cloaked ships, approached in the dead of night, the stars overhead offering little light to guide them. Alex's heart pounded as he checked his equipment one last time. The AI-powered cloaking device was working perfectly, keeping them hidden from the Empire's sensors. The team was invisible. "Focus," Alex whispered into the comms. "We move fast, we hit hard, and we get out. No heroics." Zora's voice crackled through the comms, calm as ever. "Got it. Let's make them regret underestimating us." The cloaked ships cut through the emptiness of space, closing in on their target. They could see the warship ahead, its lights flickering, unaware of the impending danger. Alex's ship was in position, and the others were close behind. The moment had arrived. Without warning, Alex signaled to the team, "Engage." The cloaking devices were deactivated in an instant, and the ships came to life, bursting out of the shadows with a fury that took the Empire by surprise. Powerful laser cannons fired, streaking across space in a blaze of light, hitting the warship's shielded hull. The Empire's defenses struggled to respond, their systems overwhelmed by the sudden onslaught. Alex's heart raced as the team moved in, dodging blasts from the warship's weapons. The battle had begun. Space dogfights erupted around them as the Empire's fighter ships launched from the warship. Alex and Zara's ships twisted and turned, weaving in and out of the incoming fire. The enemy was far more numerous and better equipped, but they had the element of surprise on their side. The fast-paced combat was intense, a blur of flashing lights, explosions, and the deafening sound of weapons firing. Zara's ship flew through the chaos with deadly precision, her hand steady on the controls. She cut through the Empire's fighters like a blade through water, each shot landing true. But even with their superior skills, the team was still outgunned. Empire reinforcements began flooding in from nearby ships, and soon the resistance was surrounded. "We need to get out," Alex shouted, his voice grim. "The mission's a success, but we're not going to last much longer." Just as the team turned to retreat, the worst happened. A blast struck Bonner's ship, sending it spiraling out of control. Alex watched helplessly as the ship was engulfed in flames, the explosion bright against the dark canvas of space. "Bonner." "No." Zora's voice echoed over the comms, a raw edge of grief cutting through her usually composed demeanor. The loss of Bonner hit hard. He had been one of the team's best pilots, a fearless warrior who had joined the resistance in search of redemption. Now he was gone. His sacrifice had bought the team a few precious seconds to escape, but the cost was heavy. Alex felt the weight of that loss settle on his chest. The team managed to escape, their ship slipping back into the cloak before the Empire could retaliate. The warship they had attacked was severely damaged, its shields down, its systems in disarray. But the victory felt hollow. As they regrouped in the safety of their hidden base, the reality of what they had just experienced set in. They had won the battle, but at a great cost. Bonner's death, the near miss, and the realization that the Empire's forces were far stronger than they had anticipated left them all shaken. "This is just the beginning," Alex said, his voice resolute despite the loss. "We've made our first move, but we need to keep pushing. We won't let Bonner's death be in vain." Zara nodded, her face hard. "For Bonner, and for every world the Empire has destroyed, we're just getting started." With a heavy heart, the team began preparations for the next phase. The battle had been fierce, but the war was far from over. And this time, they were ready. The skies over Earth darkened with the ominous approach of the Galactic Empire. Their retaliation was swift and merciless. The vast fleets of the Empire surged toward Earth's colonies, each one a valuable resource in the Empire's eyes. Humanity was caught in the crossfire, and the hope of survival seemed increasingly slim. Alex and Zara stood in the dimly lit command room, watching the reports come in. The Empire's fleet was vast, too vast for Earth's defenses to hold. Colonies were falling one by one, their cities turned to ash in the blink of an eye. But worse than the destruction was the fear that gripped the hearts of Earth's leaders. The majority still believed in the Empire's promises of peace and prosperity in exchange for cooperation. It was an idea that seemed almost too good to refuse, but to Alex and Zara, it was a cruel lie, a manipulation to enslave humanity and claim their planet's riches. The resistance was small, but it had gained some support. People like Bonner had died for this cause, and Alex wasn't going to let their deaths be in vain. Yet as the enemy's onslaught continued, he realized that the real battle wasn't just against the Empire. It was against the divisions among Earth's own forces. Many soldiers were still unsure whether to trust the resistance or believe in the Empire's false promises. "We need to unite them," Zara said, her voice tight with urgency. "If we don't, we'll never win this war." Alex nodded, staring at the map of Earth's remaining colonies. The Empire had already struck the outermost settlements, but the inner colonies were still intact. For now, time was running out. As they prepared to leave for the front lines, Alex gathered his team, including Zara, the core members of their resistance group, and a handful of Earth's most loyal military commanders who had come to trust them. There was no more time for hesitation. The Empire's attack wasn't going to slow down, and every hour they wasted meant another colony lost. Alex's team had already proven their capability in small strikes, but now they needed something more, something that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. And they had just the plan. "We've stolen their intelligence," Alex said, tapping a datapad that displayed the stolen Empire files. "Inside this, we have the coordinates of their central command, the heart of their operations. It's on their homeworld, located deep within their fortress on the planet Tarnak. If we can take that down, we'll cripple their entire war effort." Zora's eyes flickered with determination. "Then we go to Tarnak. But we need to hit them now, before they can prepare. This is our chance to strike first." The team moved quickly, knowing that the longer they delayed, the more colonies would fall. They launched their operations under the cover of darkness, using the eye-powered cloaking technology to infiltrate Empire-controlled territories. They moved silently through the skies, dropping sabotage drones into key infrastructure points, power plants, weapons depots, and communication hubs. Anything that could slow down the Empire's war machine. As the drones set to work, sending waves of destruction to the Empire's strongholds, Alex couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. Every drone that exploded, every building that crumbled, felt like a small revenge for the lives lost. But the truth was clear. This was only the beginning. "Alex, you're not going to like this," One of his team members called out from the comms panel, "We've been detected. The Empire's forces are on the move." The team immediately jumped into action, their ships cloaking once again as they sped toward the next target. The Empire's retaliation had begun, but they had one advantage. The cloaking technology made them nearly invisible to the Empire's fleet. The sabotage missions were working, but the question remained, would it be enough? Meanwhile, Zara's mind was focused on more than just sabotage. Bonner's death had cut deeper than she had let on. The loss of a comrade, a friend, was a pain she couldn't ignore. She had trained with him, fought alongside him. His sacrifice was personal, and Zara was more determined than ever to bring the Empire to its knees. "They took him from us," Zara said quietly as she prepared for another mission. "I won't stop until I make them pay." Alex saw the fire in her eyes, and he understood. The rebellion wasn't just about taking down the Empire. It was about justice, about avenging the countless lives the Empire had destroyed, including Bonner's. Alex's own resolve was hardening. No matter what it took, he would see this war through to the end. He would destroy the Empire, no matter the cost. The tension in the air was palpable as Alex's team struck at the Empire's remaining strongholds. The sabotage missions were far from perfect, but they were enough to slow the Empire down, to give humanity a fighting chance. Yet, with every victory, the reality of their position became clearer. The Empire would not stop until they had crushed every last resistance. As Alex and his team regrouped in a safe house, the weight of what they had accomplished began to settle. They had taken down several key military sites, crippled communication channels, and even stolen crucial data. But the enemy was relentless. Their retaliation was swift and deadly. "This is just the beginning," Alex said to his team as they prepared for their next mission. "We've hit them where it hurts, but we have to keep the pressure on. If we stop now, we'll lose everything." Zara stood by his side, her face set in determination. "We won't stop. We fight until they're destroyed. For Bonner. For Earth." The next phase of the plan involved a direct assault on the Empire's central command. It was a dangerous mission, but it was one they had no choice but to take. The resistance had no time to wait for reinforcements. They had to act now. The lives of millions hung in the balance. In the final moments before the assault, Alex and Zara exchanged a look. There was no turning back now. They were about to go deeper into enemy territory than ever before, risking everything for a chance to strike at the heart of the Empire's power. As they launched the final attack, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this would be their last chance. The stakes were higher than ever, and the road ahead was fraught with danger. But in that moment, he knew one thing: the fight for Earth's future had only just begun. The resistance had rallied against impossible odds, but as long as they had hope, they would continue to fight. No matter what the Empire threw at them, no matter how high the cost, they would not stop until the Empire was destroyed and Earth's future was secured. The time for hesitation had passed. Earth's last hope now rested in a bold and dangerous plan, one that would decide the fate of humanity. The final assault on the Galactic Empire's homeworld, Tarnak, was about to begin. Alex and Zara, along with their team of soldiers, scientists, and AI-controlled drones, prepared for an operation unlike anything humanity had ever attempted before. This was their last chance. Failure would mean the end of Earth's existence. The preparations were intense. Soldiers trained relentlessly, honed to perfection with the latest technology at their disposal. The fleet was massive, the largest ever assembled, combining Earth's finest warships with experimental weapon systems. Alex stood at the helm, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. This wasn't just a military mission. It was a desperate battle for survival, and every decision he made could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. "I've been waiting for this moment my whole life," Zara said, her voice filled with determination. Her resolve had hardened through the years of battling the Empire. Zara had lost everything to their cruelty. and now she would fight to ensure no one else had to endure the same fate. "Then let's make sure we end it," Alex replied. His eyes were fixed on the holographic display of Tarnok's defenses. There was no turning back now. The final plan was straightforward but incredibly risky. Earth's forces would launch a coordinated attack on the Empire's capital, and Alex's team would infiltrate the heart of the Empire's stronghold. Their mission was to sabotage the Empire's core defense systems, taking down the AI-driven machines and robotic armies that protected the Emperor. Without those defenses, the Empire's leadership would be vulnerable. However, the cost of success was enormous. Many would not survive this battle. As the attack force moved toward Tarnok, the tension among the crew was palpable. Ships and soldiers braced for the unknown, knowing that they might not return. The Empire's capital was heavily fortified with layers of defense, including automated weapon systems, surveillance satellites, and an array of deadly robots. This was a place where the slightest misstep could lead to instant death. "We've trained for this," Alex said to his team, rallying them. "We've fought harder, bled more, and sacrificed so much. This is our moment. The Empire will fall today." The ships dropped out of hyperspace above Tarnok, and the battle immediately erupted. Explosions rocked the planet's surface as Earth's fleet launched a barrage of laser cannons, missiles, and drone strikes. The skies were filled with blinding lights and debris as both sides clashed in a fierce fight for control. The infiltration was smooth at first, thanks to their AI-powered cloaking devices. They moved silently through the city, avoiding detection as they navigated toward the central command. But as they neared their destination, the first wave of resistance hit. Robotic drones emerged from hidden doors and walls, attacking without warning. Their movements were swift and deadly, their targeting systems precise. The team fought back, using their advanced weapons to disable the drones, but the sheer number of machines was overwhelming. A loud crash rang out as one of the drones launched a missile, exploding a nearby building. The shockwave sent Alex and Zara tumbling to the ground. For a moment, they were disoriented, but they quickly recovered, pulling themselves up and reorienting toward their mission. "We have to move faster," Zara said, her voice tense. She was already on her feet, leading the way. "The longer we stay here, the more reinforcements they'll send." Alex nodded, rallying his team. "We push forward. We finish this, or Earth is done." As they advanced deeper into the Empire's stronghold, the fight intensified. They encountered more and more automated defenses, from drones to giant robotic soldiers. The air was thick with smoke and the constant hum of energy shields deflecting blasts. Each corner they turned, another deadly machine awaited them. But Alex's team was trained for this. No matter how difficult, they fought on. It was when they reached the core of the Empire's command center that things took a dark turn. The central defense system was protected by an enormous AI. Its consciousness spread across multiple robotic bodies. The AI had control over the city's entire infrastructure, from the power grid to the defense networks. It was the final hurdle standing between them and victory. "This is it," Alex said, looking at the massive control room doors. "Once we get inside, there's no turning back." Zara nodded. "We finish what we started." But before they could make their move, the AI activated its final defense. A group of heavily armed robotic enforcers, each one twice the size of a human. These machines were designed for one purpose: to stop anyone who dared challenge the Empire. The battle that followed was unlike any Alex and Zara had faced before. The sheer force of the robotic enforcers sent shockwaves through the streets as their weapons unleashed devastating power. Alex and Zara fought side by side, using everything they had to stay alive. The sounds of blaster fire and metal clashing filled the air as they narrowly avoided being crushed underfoot by the robotic giants. But as the battle wore on, Alex realized that they were running out of time. Their mission was more than just stopping the Empire. It was about protecting Earth from total destruction. If they didn't act now, everything would be lost. A tough decision loomed before him. The only way to breach the defense system was to sacrifice a portion of their fleet, an act that would leave them vulnerable. But Alex knew that without this move, they wouldn't be able to take down the AI. "Do it," Alex ordered, turning to his second-in-command. "Launch the remaining missiles. We'll take down their defenses, no matter the cost." The order was given. Earth's remaining forces fired everything they had, and in that moment, a massive explosion rocked the city. The attack shattered the AI's defenses, giving Alex and Zara the opening they needed to break through. But the cost was steep. As they made their way to the heart of the command center, Zara turned to Alex. "You go. I'll stay behind to finish this." "No," Alex said, his voice urgent. "We're in this together." "I'm not asking," Zara replied. Her eyes were filled with determination. "I'll take care of the final defense system. You finish the mission." Alex hesitated, but he saw the conviction in her eyes. With a heavy heart, he nodded. "Be careful." Zara stayed behind, fighting to disable the final defense system. Explosions rang out around her as she worked, narrowly avoiding the fire from the last few remaining robotic soldiers. Her mission was almost complete. She was moments away from finishing the Empire's reign. As Alex reached the central control room and set the detonator, he saw a flash of light on the horizon. It was the signal that Zara had done it. She had destroyed the final defense system. But just as Alex turned to leave, he heard an explosion from behind. Zara's voice crackled over the comms, her words filled with pain. "I did it, Alex." Her transmission cut off. Alex's heart sank. He had lost one of his closest friends in the final battle. But despite the pain of her sacrifice, Alex knew that Zara's actions had saved Earth. She had given everything so that humanity could survive. With tears in his eyes, Alex activated the final detonator, and the Empire's central command exploded in a brilliant flash, taking the Empire's stronghold with it. Earth had won, but at a tremendous cost. The war was over, and the battle for survival had finally come to an end. The Empire was no more. The final battle had come to an end. The Galactic Empire, which had once ruled with iron fists and crushed countless worlds under its boot, was now nothing but a pile of rubble. Earth had struck back with all its might, and the last remnants of the Empire had fallen in a blazing inferno. But the victory, while monumental, was bittersweet. As the final assault unfolded, massive orbital bombardments shattered the Empire's homeworld. Earth's fleets, battered but resilient, unleashed wave after wave of destructive power. The sky above Tarnak, the Empire's capital, turned a fiery red as lasers tore through the atmosphere, leaving trails of smoke and ash. Entire cities crumbled under the weight of the bombs. Buildings once proud and towering were reduced to twisted metal and debris, falling like dust in the wind. The planet, which had once thrived with technological advancements and power, was now nothing more than a smoldering wasteland. The massive explosions in space lit up the sky, creating a stark contrast against the dark backdrop of space. Alex stood aboard his flagship, watching the destruction unfold through the viewing window. Zara was beside him, her expression unreadable. It was a victory that they had fought for, bled for, but the cost was more than just physical. They had lost comrades, their homes had been ravaged, and the price of peace had been steep. The devastation on the ground was nothing short of apocalyptic. As the explosions rained down, the streets of Tarnak, once bustling with the Empire's machinery of war, were now empty. The towering spires that had symbolized the Empire's might were now collapsing into ruins. The once pristine domed cities, with their shining lights, were consumed by the fiery destruction. The flames reached the sky, casting a deep orange glow over the horizon. From space, the scale of the destruction was almost surreal. Massive craters scared the surface, and the once glittering capital was now reduced to a desolate, burned-out shell. Alex and Zara watched as the Empire crumbled. There were no celebrations, no cheers of joy, just silence. The battle was over, but the scars of war were still fresh on their hearts. Alex's mind wandered to the faces of those they had lost, their friends, their allies, their families. Bonner, Zara's old friend, whose death had been the first crack in their resistance. The team they had lost on their missions. Each of their sacrifices weighed heavily on Alex's shoulders, and the victory felt hollow, despite the destruction of the Empire. Zara, too, seemed lost in thought. Her expression was a mix of satisfaction and sorrow. She had long dreamed of this moment, to see the Empire burn, to see justice served for her people, but it wasn't the triumph she had imagined. The fire that had once driven her had dimmed, replaced by the cold reality of the cost of war. Her eyes lingered on the ruins below, remembering the destruction of her own world, her people, and the pain she had carried with her all these years. "I did it," Zara whispered, her voice barely audible. "We did it." But there was no joy in her words. She had avenged her homeworld, yes, but she knew that the galaxy was still far from safe. Other threats still lurked in the dark corners of space. The Empire may have fallen, but its influence had spread across countless systems, and the remnants of its power would not be easily erased. The galaxy was fractured, and its future uncertain. Alex remained silent, his gaze fixed on the devastation. He had made the hard choices, led the team through impossible odds, and seen his people pushed to their limits. But even in the face of victory, he couldn't escape the heavy toll of the war. The memories of the lives lost, the sacrifices made, haunted him. He had pledged to destroy the Empire, but in doing so, he had broken a piece of himself. "The fight is over," Alex said finally, his voice quiet. "But it's not the end. Not yet." Zara nodded, her gaze still fixed on the burning horizon. "No, it's not. The Empire is gone, but there's still so much to rebuild. So many lives to mend. And the galaxy." Her voice trailed off, her thoughts distant. "We've won, but the peace won't come easy." The two of them stood in silence, watching the fires consume the remnants of the Empire. The world they had known was forever changed. The Galactic Empire, once a force that had crushed all who dared oppose it, was now reduced to nothing but ash and smoke. But the war had taken its toll. Zara's people, her homeworld, and countless others had been sacrificed to bring this victory. And Alex, though he had led them to this moment, knew that there was no true victory in war, only survival. As the dust settled and the fires began to burn out, a message came through to their ships. It was from Earth's new leadership, the government that had emerged from the ashes of war. The message was simple: Earth had won. The war was over, but the rebuilding had just begun. The words felt like an empty echo in the face of the devastation. Victory had come, but it was a hollow one. The people of Earth would need time to heal, to rebuild, and to come to terms with the cost of what they had achieved. And for Alex and Zara, the journey was far from over. There would be no grand celebrations, no parades. There would only be quiet reflection and the weight of the lives they had saved, and the ones they had lost. "I thought I would feel different," Zara murmured, "like the weight would lift. But it's still here." Alex nodded, understanding. The weight of leadership, of making impossible choices, would stay with them forever. They had won, but at what cost? The Empire had burned, but the galaxy was still full of uncertainty, still scared by the endless conflict. There was peace, yes, but it was a fragile one. "We did what we had to do," Alex said softly. "We'll rebuild, and we'll make sure their sacrifices weren't in vain." Zara didn't respond, but the faintest hint of a smile tugged at her lips. The path ahead was long, and the scars of war would never truly fade. But in the ashes of the Empire, there was a glimmer of hope. The galaxy had been freed from tyranny, and now it was up to humanity to rebuild, to make sure the past didn't repeat itself. The Empire had burned, and with it, the possibility of a better future was born. But it would take time. Time for the wounds to heal. Time for the galaxy to recover from the chaos. and time for Alex and Zora to come to terms with the cost of their victory. But in the end, they knew they had done what had to be done. The Empire was no more, and Earth was free. But the fight for peace was just beginning. The destruction of the Galactic Empire had shattered the old order. For centuries, the Empire had dominated the galaxy, crushing worlds beneath its iron grip, controlling resources and enslaving civilizations. But now, in the wake of its fall, a new chapter had begun. Humanity, once seen as nothing more than a fledgling species on a primitive planet, had proven itself capable of standing up to the most powerful force in the universe. Earth was no longer just a small, insignificant world. It had become a beacon of hope and resistance. As the dust settled on the Empire's crumbling ruins, Earth found itself at the heart of a new alliance, one forged from the ashes of war. Alex and Zora, having led the charge against the Empire, now stood at the forefront of this new era. The two of them had fought side by side, seen countless lives lost, and watched entire worlds burn in the process. But now, their bond was stronger than ever, and together, they were building something new, a coalition of planets united in their resistance against the remaining factions of the Empire. The galaxy was not yet free, though. The destruction of the Empire had left a power vacuum, and in that vacuum, new threats were beginning to emerge. Many of the Empire's loyalists, the high-ranking officials, and military leaders who had survived, were slowly regrouping. They had retreated to the farthest corners of the galaxy, hidden away on desolate planets and remote space stations, but they had not forgotten their ambitions. They still desired control, and they still saw humanity as a threat. Their hatred for Earth and its newfound power was as strong as ever. Yet, humanity was no longer the weak, helpless species they had once been. Earth had earned the respect of other alien species who had long suffered under the Empire's tyranny. The once divided human forces, now united under Alex's leadership, were a force to be reckoned with. They had proven their worth in battle, their resolve unshakable. And as they formed new alliances with various alien civilizations, some once enemies, some longtime allies, Earth's position in the galaxy began to solidify. Zara stood beside Alex, looking out at the vastness of space. They had both changed in ways they hadn't expected. The war had shaped them, molded them into leaders, but the cost had been high. Zara's thoughts often wandered back to her homeworld, to the family she had lost, to the countless lives she had seen taken by the Empire's cruelty. The pain of those memories lingered, but she knew that the future was now in their hands. The Empire was gone, but its influence was far from erased. "We've come a long way," Zora said quietly, her voice filled with a mixture of pride and sorrow. Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the stars. "We have, but the road ahead won't be easy. We may have won the war, but the galaxy is still full of dangers." Humanity had become a symbol of resistance, a reminder that even the most powerful empire could be brought down by sheer willpower and unity. But as much as Alex and Zara hoped for peace, they knew the galaxy was far from stable. The remnants of the empire were scattered, yes, but they were not defeated. They had been wounded, but they were still dangerous. And with every passing day, their resolve to reclaim power grew stronger. Alex's mind raced with the possibilities. What if the Empire's loyalists had regrouped in secret, building new fleets and weapons in preparation for a second wave? What if they had already begun to plot their next move? The galaxy was vast, and there were many places they could hide, many ways they could strike without warning. Despite their efforts to rebuild, the darkness of the Empire's legacy still loomed over them. For every planet that had joined the coalition, for every victory they had celebrated, there were still pockets of resistance from the Empire's old guard. Some were just waiting for the right moment to rise again. And that moment might be closer than anyone realized. Zara seemed to read Alex's thoughts, and she turned to face him. "We've built something powerful here, Alex, but we can't afford to let our guard down. The Empire is not gone, not completely. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Alex looked at her, his eyes filled with determination. "We will be. Humanity is stronger now. We won't make the same mistakes. We'll be ready." And so, the new dawn for humanity began. The galaxy was slowly rebuilding, with Earth leading the way. The survivors of the war worked tirelessly to restore what had been destroyed, to forge new alliances, and to heal the wounds of conflict. But even as they worked towards a future of peace, they couldn't shake the nagging fear that the war was not truly over. The remnants of the Empire were still out there, lurking in the shadows. In the quiet moments of reflection, Alex and Zara often found themselves contemplating the sacrifices they had made. So many had died for this peace, so many had given everything to see the Empire fall. And yet, in the silence of the night, they could hear the faint whispers of those who had not yet been defeated. The Empire had burned, but its ashes were still smoldering, ready to reignite at any moment. One day, that fear would become a reality. The final twist came when a new threat emerged, one that no one had expected. A faction of the Empire, believed to have been completely destroyed, had survived. They had been hiding in the outer reaches of the galaxy, amassing strength, and now they were preparing to strike back. The first sign came in the form of intercepted communications, encrypted transmissions that spoke of a plan to rebuild the Empire's war machine. Their fleet was in the process of reassembling, and they had weapons more advanced than anything Alex or Zara had ever seen. They were ready to strike at the heart of humanity once more. Alex's heart sank as the gravity of the situation hit him. The peace they had fought for was in jeopardy, and the galaxy was about to face another war, one even more dangerous than the first. But this time, humanity was ready. They had learned from their past mistakes, and they were stronger than ever before. The coalition they had built would stand firm against this new threat. "We won't let them take everything we've built," Alex said, his voice resolute. Zara nodded. "We won't. We fought too hard, lost too much. This time, we strike first." As the new threat loomed on the horizon, Earth and its allies began to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. They would not wait for the Empire's remnants to make the first move. This time, they would take the fight to them. They had learned to be resilient, to fight when the odds were stacked against them. And as the stars twinkled in the distance, a new chapter in the galaxy's history began to unfold. Humanity had risen, had won its war, and had earned its place among the stars. But as Alex and Zara stood together, staring into the vastness of space, they knew the fight was far from over. The galaxy was full of dangers, full of uncertainties, but one thing was certain: they would face whatever came next together. The story of humanity's rise was just beginning. The next chapter was already on the horizon, and Earth would stand strong, ready for whatever challenges awaited them in the vast, endless expanse of the galaxy.